Hello, hello, hello. My name is Emma Holmes and I'm coming in to you from Rockstar HQ to introduce this video today. So this video is a recording that I did with Chris Cook, who is an Olympian, who is a 2-time Commonwealth Championships gold medalist, and he's also got a silver in his back pocket, has won medals at the European and World Championships. He is a business owner, a coach, a mentor. He is a speaker, he's a dad, he's a husband, and an all-round good bloke. So I interviewed him for the podcast Rockstar Rebellion, but I thought that I would also share the video with you because there are lots of gold. There's gold in this video and I didn't want you to miss out. So if you are watching this video on YouTube, then please do make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so that you are getting updates of all of the new content that we are bringing together for you, and hit that little ding ding bell so that you get those notifications coming on through. So to the video. Right, so this section of the podcast, I am joined today by the wonderful Chris Cook, and Chris he's going to exhaust me by introducing him. He is an Olympian, he is a Commonwealth Games gold medalist, he has bronze medals from World Championships, European Championships, he has, I believe, a national record he had at one of those competitions. He is the founder of Swim Buddies, which is a children's swimming lessons business that he runs very successfully in the Northeast. He is from the Northeast and he has the same birthday as me, but he's a little bit older, a whole year older. He's one whole year older than me. And he's a dad, he's a husband, and everything else that goes with all of those things. So hello, Chris.
Hello, and a loud t-shirt wearer as well this morning.
A very loud t-shirt wearer. We're both in very loud t-shirts today. We're pretending we're on holiday. It's our COVID holiday from our offices.
Thanks for that intro, by the way. It sounds fab. Sounds like somebody else's life sometimes, you know, when yeah, it does. Sometimes when I hear things said like that, I think, oh, crikey, that was me. Yeah, I did that. And just because I'm always on to the next thing and the next thing, and I've so many things that I want to do with my life and achieve. It feels weird whenever I hear stuff like that.
So two gold medals in one Commonwealth Games in Melbourne in 2006, like, and a silver. Like, what was that couple of weeks like in your life?
It was definitely a good week in the office, that one. it was. Do you know what's really weird? There's a couple of things in this. One, winning becomes addictive. It becomes really addictive, and especially for a personality like me, where I'm all or nothing. I'm all in or all out. That's it. There's no half measures, which is good. It's a blessing and a curse in one sense. But yeah, once I won the 100 meters breaststroke first at the Commonwealth Games, and that was the big one because that is an Olympic event. The 50 isn't. You see, the 50 breaststroke isn't an Olympic event. But we still do it at the World Champs. You still do it at the European Champs and the Commonwealth Games. It's just not an Olympic event. It might be someday. So the 100 was the blue ribbon for me. That was what I went to Melbourne for. And in a weird way, and this is going to sound arrogant, but I'm going to explain it. In a weird way, I went to Melbourne to pick up the medal. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
It felt like I'd gone there to pick it up. I just needed to do one last job to do it. And that was win the race. Everything else was in line, and it really felt that way. 2 nights later, or maybe 3 nights later, I went in for the 50 meters breaststroke, just with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
What a dangerous competitor you are when you're I was in pretty much an outside lane. No one was watching us. On paper, everybody else was faster. There's a lot faster. But I just had this inner knowing, and I remember sat with my wife, she was my fiance at the time, up in the stands, Erica. I was sat in the stands the night before I won the 50, and I sat with her and I said, tomorrow night I'm going to win it, you know. And she went, oh, hold your horses, calm yourself down. You know, don't get ahead of yourself. I went, no, I feel it. I really feel it. I've got the same feeling again. That I'm just here to just put the final piece in place, and I did. And I went and won it, and it was a really enjoyable race, that one. But then the silver felt like a massive disappointment, and I've only ever had the silver medal out of the box maybe 4 or 5 times in total. Yeah. I remember swimming that race, and I did the best I could, but I didn't feel like I was with people who really wanted the win. You know, they were happy with the silver, they celebrated the silver, and I couldn't celebrate it.
So is that, because it wasn't all in your hands, and the individual events and the individual stuff that you did, that's you rise or fall on you, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
And when you get into having those additional factors and people in play, you can't control. And it's your controllables versus your non-controllables, isn't it?
It is
really interesting.
It is. And, you know, the 2 things as a kid that I loved doing right up until I finished was relays. I loved swimming with a team of 3 other guys to make up the 4. And I loved swim-offs, which was you and another person to either get into a final. So often you'll have a tie for 8th place, and those 2 people will have to come back in an hour's time, race head to head. The whole crowd love it because it's win or lose. There's no grey areas, and it is what the sport was designed for. There is a winner and a loser. That's it. And I love those 2 things. But one of the reasons why I really struggled with this race in particular, and it was the only relay that I really didn't enjoy, was I didn't feel like, again, I was sharing the team with people who really wanted it. There was a couple of people who did, and they were ready for it, but I think there was a lack of belief that we could win, and that shocked me. An hour before the race, I was thinking, why are we talking about a silver medal? I haven't even thought about a silver. I'm thinking gold. And when you're in that space and you realize you've gone that far with people who aren't on the same agenda as you, it becomes very, very difficult to actually embrace it and enjoy it. And it's probably the one race I didn't enjoy.
And it's that Henry Ford quote, isn't it? It's whether you think you can or you think you can't. You're right.
Absolutely. And it carries a lot of gravitas. It carries a lot of weight and forward momentum.
Bloody gold medals it carries.
Yeah, of course it
carries. That you could.
You know, I wanted to be triple Commonwealth champion. I don't know if anybody had done it then. But there was another reason as well, because the Aussie men hadn't won a gold medal at that event until the very last night, and that was their gold medal. And I almost wanted to keep them from winning that. You know, we were on a roll. We were moving forward as a team, and we were building up to something great happening. And it just felt as though we fizzled out of that competition. But that was just a personal thing.
Yeah. What was it like to be an Olympian then? Because you went to Athens 2004.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, there's a couple of levels to it. There's a couple of stages. Your first stage is making the team. So you have to be the best. Getting all the free kit. I love free kit. No, I'm a typical northerner. I love free stuff. Well, so you go to do a trial maybe 4 to 6 months beforehand, depending on where they hold the trials and when they are. And you have to be in the 1st or 2nd in Great Britain in the event, and you have to fulfill the qualifying criteria. So often the qualifying criteria is based around, can you make an Olympic final? So it's usually around 12 top 10 in the world. So let's just say you finish 2nd in Great Britain in your event, but you are 16th in the world. You're not going. You're not going. It's that cut and dry. And there could be a couple of tenths of a second, if not hundredths of a second between it. So it's pretty tight. I convincingly put myself on the team in the 200 meters breaststroke, got my passport to go, if you like. And it was just amazing. Every moment of those 6 months was just pinch yourself, even after the games. But there was one moment in particular which really stands out in my mind. There was the night before I was due to race at the Athens Olympic Games. My coach couldn't be with me. He was out there, but he wasn't selected for the team. So I had what we called a resident coach, which was a coach within Team GB who would look after us. And my coach and that coach were in really good partnership. And I knew the guys. I knew who the team were. And I'd worked with them before, but I didn't have my coach there. And he texted me the night before saying, when your fingertips hit the water tomorrow, you'll officially call yourself an Olympian. And it's even making my hairs go on end now. And I've still got that message. Oh my God, it was just...
Yeah.
And one of those moments that had nothing to do with the Olympics and everything to do with my own journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me just like smile inside that 9-year-old me who started the journey actually experienced moments with people he didn't know at that time, later down the line got to know, who would change his life.
Yeah. And you will always be an Olympian, you'll always be a gold medalist. You know, it's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
We can, you know, we then flip into being a business owner.
Yeah.
So you set up Swim Buddies, and Swim Buddies is amazing conceptually. It's
thank you.
Children's swimming lessons effectively, but done with a whole load of care and attention that often isn't done in that genre, with smaller class sizes, more attention, really great instructors, and just a great ethos.
Thank you.
You know, my kids have gone through Swim Buddies. I've sat on the side talking to your wife at swimming lessons, playing with your kids. My kids have swam, and they've really benefited from that. So what lessons do you reckon come from being a professional athlete in terms of, you know, hitting the highest accolades that you can in your sport into creating a really dandy business?
Oh, thank you. First and foremost, that just makes me feel amazing, because we started the business as just an idea, a thought. You know, I remember years and years, way before I'd retired from swimming, I kind of knew I wanted to run a business, and I wanted to provide children with an opportunity that I got, which was just fun, enjoyment, but learning real skills, and giving them the confidence that if they can master something technically as dangerous as swimming, because it really is, it can be. If they can master something like that, then they can master other things in their lives, like spelling tests and, you know, all the things that they get thrown at them on a regular basis. And if you think about the complex skills that are involved in swimming alone, and we're asking them to do 4 strokes, all the skills, it's really complex. So my idea was that if we can do this and make it fun and build that confidence, and we can provide an environment for teachers to really enjoy it, then we could generate something really powerful. So hearing those words really makes me feel like we've ticked a big box. We've got a long way to go still. We've got lots of things planned. But for me, essentially at the heart of it, learning what I learned on my journey as an athlete was being your authentic self is key to anything. Is putting your fingerprint stamp on the world. We've all got a different fingerprint for a reason. And not being frightened to do it. Now, what was really interesting, Emma, was when I retired from swimming, or expired. I always say I expired. I'm on for so long. When I expired from the sport at the age of 30, I didn't know what to do with my life. But the one thing that I knew...
With your life as well, isn't it? You know, it's a big commitment.
Massive.
And now what?
Massive. And it really, essentially, it was a hobby that I got paid for. It was a hobby that I got paid for, and actually I see no reason, and I saw no reason at the time why I couldn't get paid for another hobby. I sound like I'm being a bit greedy, but that's what I wanted. But I didn't know what that new hobby was. Now, the thing I was really frightened of, and I'm being really honest and bearing my soul here, was I was frightened of starting again.
Yeah.
I was frightened of going from my last race in Beijing, which was an Olympic final. I was in the final where Michael Phelps won that 8th gold medal, part of global history, 2 lanes away, to all of a sudden, now I didn't know what I wanted. And if I made a start, I didn't want that to be the next contrast of failure versus Olympic final. And that chased me around for a long time until I just got real. In fact, there's a story about it. I was in a school in down in the southeast, down in Kent. And I was telling my story to a group of children in a primary school. And at the very end, I always throw out the questions. Now, there's always those characters in school that the teachers go, oh, he's going to put his hand up. Don't pick him. Yes, that's it. That's the one. Well, I always seem to pick them. They're my favourite.
Usually my daughter.
Well, I would have picked your daughter straight off. So I picked this little boy, put his hand up. And he said, you've been talking about dreams and goals in your Olympic journey. What's your dreams now? I said, well, I said, one day I'm going to start my own learn to swim business. His hand goes back up. he said, "So why haven't you started now?" Like, so the teachers by this point are all putting their hands over their eyes thinking, "Oh my God, he's got him. He's got him." And for about 10, for about 10 minutes, this year 3 coached me within an inch of my life.
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?
He should have charged. And I got away from it. And I was just really honest. I had that moment on stage where I just went, "Do you know what? I'm frightened." And he went, "But you're telling us to face our fears." I said, "Yeah, you're right. But just because I'm an Olympian or just because I've done things doesn't mean to say that I don't have fear." And that's when I started to say, you know, we've got to fear because we can learn a lot from our fears. And I jumped in the car, drove back from Kent that day, and I said to my wife, "It's on." I called her and I just went, "It's on. We're doing this." And by the time I got home 7 hours later, she'd designed and outlined the website. She'd got a name. She'd registered it in a company's house, and it was on. And from that moment onwards, that's where it started. And
so she was waiting for the nod from you, really, wasn't she?
Pretty much.
Hurry up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I think when you get two people together that are really passionate about something, you have something else happens. I don't know what that something else is, and I'm not professing to know what it is, but that's non-physical. Yeah, it is magic. It is magic. And you know, you don't have to know how the magic works. Like, I don't know how electricity works, yet I use the benefits of it.
Sorry, I don't care how the washing machine works as long as it.
That's it. So yeah, that's where it stemmed from, essentially. And then, but yeah, I really wanted to work with people. I wanted to work in a team where we work with each other. And I'm a massive believer that leadership has got nothing to do with your rank. I want a little team of leaders. And I struggle with that at times because, you know, I still have people who come to me for an answer they already know, which is fine. Sometimes it's just a respect thing. But essentially, I want them to make decisions and choices and go, "Do you know what? My bad. I messed up here. This was mine. I did this and this didn't happen." That's fine. Yeah. I'd rather you made a shot at it than just sit frozen. You know, but we've got a wicked team. They feel like a family. So that's been one of the hardest things in COVID, to see that part of my family struggle. And there's very, very little I could do. I can only do so much as a business owner, but that's been hard. But yeah, from nothing, we've created something that feels magic.
Well, the family element that you say there is palpable as a parent, as you're part of that community, that, you know, it does feel like everybody's interacting and engaging and being part of something and has that common objective and is a team, and, you know, that doesn't feel disjointed in any way. So it's really great that has been something that, yes, consciously you've wanted, but it's not as easy as just consciously wanting that.
No, it's not. And do you know what? It's a classic case of making an omelette and cracking eggs. You know, we've had to go through a few bad eggs. And I'm not lying to you. You know, we've had. I believe you've got to take responsibility for everything that happens to you. Everything. Yeah. Absolutely, unequivocally everything. You can't play the victim on anything. So any situation that comes my way, Erica's way, we often sit down and go, right, what do we own? Let's get really honest about what we own. And as uncomfortable as it is, we address it and we go right back. And we've had a couple of team members who've come in and they've brought baggage, ransacked the business pretty much, done damage we've had to go and repair, damage that will probably always kind of echo with some people in relationships. But I feel really grateful for them, because actually it highlighted something that needed to change. The lessons and blessings, that's it. If you can get those lessons and if you answer the right questions and you can turn them into blessings in 4, 5, 6 years time, you look back and you go, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be me, who I am today. You've nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. But going through it, oh my God, and some of them still haunt me. You know, some of them I think, oh, why did I do that? How couldn't I do this? Or is there something else I could have done? So I think you just own what you own. But like I've said to the team, I said in the last team talk on Zoom that we had, I said, I'd go through it all again times 10 to get the people that we've got on this Zoom call
Yeah.
right here, right now. And they know how much we appreciate them. They know how much they are the backbone of the business, and they know they're all on the same mission. And I think if you go out into the world on a mission, it's much stronger than just ticking off a list of goals and targets. That's one thing. But if you go on a mission, a proper mission at the heart of it, people start to draft in behind you.
And the thing is that you've got other people on that mission with you, rather than employees that become jaded and a bit pathetic, and they're just going through the motions. And, you can tell in your classes that these people are invested in what they're doing.
That's lovely.
To being, before we came on air, I told you the story about Maggie, who went to a swimming lesson with another swimming provider, and she was told to get to the other side, jumped out the pool, walked around the pool, got back in the other side. I've done it. And, they were so apathetic that it didn't really matter to them.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. As long as, she spent her 30 minutes in the pool, they didn't care.
Wow. And
there's just such a difference when you see people who are engaged in a mission to people that are wiggly fingers doing a job.
Definitely. And you've got to beat that drum quite regularly as well. And you get sick of the sound of your own voice. I'm constantly talking about where we're moving to, why we started, how we started. I'll often bring that up to the team. Sometimes it's just because it naturally happens, but other times I orchestrate it and make it happen to make people reflect over their own shoulder and go, look how far we've come. We've nearly got 1,000 children. Do you remember when it was 7 one Saturday morning when we didn't know what we were doing? We were fumbling around. Where now we've got processes, systems, so many things in place, and we've learned. But I think the key is just not being frightened to start again.
Well, the thing is, if you didn't do those 7, which at the beginning, I'll have felt like, actually, there's not enough kids here. Are we ever going to make this work? This won't be profitable. Yeah. Would have never got 1,000.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And, one of the things that I'm always mega grateful for, and I always put this out there, is we've grown not through our own ideas, but through listening to the clients and the customers. So for us, the client is the swimmer. Yeah. You've got to listen to them because they will teach you how to teach them within reason. But the customer is the person paying for it. There's a very different journey for both of them.
Absolutely.
There's one sitting on the balcony paying for it, asking, am I getting value for money? Is what I'm seeing the return that I came for? Mm-hmm. But then there's also in the water, there's the client who has a very specific set of needs that we need to adhere to. Yeah, that's it.
They want to have fun. The client wants to have fun and wants to be, the epitome of teaching, I think, is to not realise you're being taught.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you can get a situation where a child is being taught something without realising, this is the big thing for me about homeschooling, particularly. Yeah. If I try and make them sit down and do work, I am going to be met with massive resistance.
Yeah, I do.
If we do something that is learning in disguise, then that's when I'm hitting the high points.
Yeah, that's the trick, isn't it? You're absolutely right. And I think one of the big hurdles we've got to make almost overcome with the team, and we know it as a team, is just mastering monotony. Mm-hmm. But in order to be great at something, we need to punch through that ceiling of it feeling a little bit samey. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of a mix, isn't there? You still want to jazz it up and keep it alive, but you also don't want to become gimmicky, because that's where I feel we'll lose what we already started, the traction. So the next frontier for us as a team, I suppose, is on the inside more than the outside. You won't see it necessarily on the outside, but on the inside, we need to accept that mastery is boring, and it can be quite painful as well. How we
I know we've had this discussion before about mastery being boring, and I think it's about the way that you look at it. I think that, yes, it is about keeping your eyes on that focus and that direction and that thing, and not being distracted by the shiny chisel. But I think you can make that as fun and exciting as you want.
Definitely.
So I think that we can because as soon as somebody says to me that it's boring, I'm just like, well, I'm off then. Yeah. It's going to be boring.
Yeah.
Not interested. I'm off. I have to reframe it for myself.
I like that, and I like that way, and I'm very much like you. But then I have other people in the team who maybe want that newness, they want that freshness, they want something brand new, like a new toy to play with in the pool.
Yeah.
And I'm always a bit like, hang on a second, let's just keep our eyes on this, let's move over here. But that's the thing they've already done last Tuesday, and they don't want to do it. They get another Tuesday, and that's the I suppose that's the world-class part of my previous background kicking in to go, let's just repeat what we've always done, but let's make sure that we don't get left behind. There's just a bit of a balance to be made there.
Right. I suppose it's a bit like your training and refining your training, in that, you know, if you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. Yeah. And you want to make progression, then you've got to do something a little bit differently. You've got to push it a little bit further.
Definitely.
You've got to be more creative in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you haven't got to lose sight that this is the outcome, this is the aim, this is the thing, this is where you're going.
Yeah.
It's no good you going, for example, and saying, right, well, I need to get, as a swimmer, I need to get much leaner, this, that, and the other. Compromises your muscle composition and your strength.
Absolutely.
And for me, you know, I could bulk up massively, but that doesn't make me a better endurance athlete necessarily. So it's about making sure that the aim and objective for you and your thing is in the right alley.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if we move on, there's also more about Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook is also a speaker, a coach, and a mentor. What sort of speaking do you do?
So I started out initially just sharing my story, and it morphed and changed into people asking questions of me on stage that I realized there was more to the story than met the eye. There was a blueprint, if you like. There was a set of, not necessarily principles, but there was definitely a blueprint that could be almost opened out and looked at. And I started to call it the 2 lengths of the pool. So my talk is about focusing on the very simple, not easy. What is the reason you are? What's your mission, essentially? What's your North Star? What's kind of there guiding you as a bit of a, need to take a cheeky peek to see if I'm on target. Now, that happened around about 2005 when I was massively overcomplicating my swimming. And it was my sports psychologist, Simon Hartley, who said, I'm challenging you here to keep things simple. Surely we've just got to swim 2 lengths of the pool. And that became the talk that I now start to share with people. And it's had a massive impact on the clients that I coach one-to-one. And also when I stand up on stage and I say that, you can see the cogs ticking in people's head going, but my job's a bit tougher than that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I was there. I was right there. Yeah, I know how that feels. And because we look at our tasks to do, and we seldom go, what do I need to stop doing? We've got this big, long list of to-do lists because we're busy people, but we rarely go, hang on a second, how many of these things on my list are truly online, on course? And if they're not on course, why am I doing them?
Yeah, and it's so easy to get stuck into that, isn't it? And one of the things I get clients to do regularly is it's a shit sorter, I call it. Start doing, stop doing, would love to do.
Love it.
So that you can really look at, right, what do I need? Sorry, it's continue to do, stop doing.
Yeah.
Love to do. So the stuff that you're doing that's making an impact, that is good for you, good for your business, blah, 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 gets in there. Stuff that you're doing that's just going through the motions, stick that shit in there.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. And then stuff that you love to do that you sat there going, oh, but I haven't got time for. Well, that can replace that stuff.
Fantastic. I love that. That's such a refreshing way of looking at it.
Well, we always like to have it a little bit different. Surprisingly.
I love it. That's great.
Well, you know, when we look at that, you know, you talk about, I suppose, the band that you would get would be like inspirational speaker.
Yeah.
And what you're essentially doing is saying, my job was to swim 2 lengths of the pool.
Yeah, that was it.
That was what I have to do. And that is bringing it down to the most simplistic element of what my job is.
Because if we don't, we end up focusing on the outcome.
Yeah.
And we can't deliver the outcome without delivering the process.
Mm-hmm.
We deliver the outcome through delivering the process. Now, it sounds like a play on words. It's not. It's the difference between the tennis player serving the ball or serving for the match point.
Mm-hmm.
If the player gets up and serves for the match point, chances are they're not going to play the best serve. If they get up and just serve, they've got every bit of control over that just serve bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the just serve which delivers the match point.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the 2 lengths. If I swim 2 lengths of the pool as fast as I can, with a great start, great first length, a turn, great second length, fantastic finish, if I nail every part of that, I've got a much better chance of winning the gold medal, and that's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of deliver the process, and it delivers a better outcome mentality. The difficult bit is we get invested in the story. We get dragged along by the drama of, I want the gold medal, I want to win the match point, I want this, I want that. We get sucked along with it.
And bogged down then with the minutiae of challenges that it's going to take me to.
Absolutely.
And
catch things.
And then whether or not I believe that I can do it.
Yeah.
And that all of, if you're simply saying, go out there and swim 2 lengths as quickly as you can, then that's quite direct.
Yeah.
Done or not done.
Yeah.
And chances are I would probably do it and then go, I'm disappointed with that. I need to do that better. So therefore, what do I need to look at?
Yeah.
And be able to then consider what those tweaks and changes are in order to be able to do that better. But in the same way as doing 7 people in a class at Swim Buddies at the beginning,
you've
got to do it for the first time.
Yeah.
And sit. And I know what you've told me about the 2 lengths before is, it's not set in stone. Play with it.
Absolutely.
Play with it if that's the right 2 lengths for you.
And refine it. You're absolutely right. And it's got to bring you alive. It's got to be tried and tested. And that's the key. Is we found that it took me nearly 16 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
That I was massively overcomplicating something very, very simple.
Mm.
But the simple and easy wrestle, it was simple, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because the rest of the industry were doing what I was doing. They were making it complicated. It looked complicated. In fact, getting to the top of the world rank.
They want it complicated because they don't want everybody to be able to think that they can do it.
That's it. Yeah, it's a big cover up, really, in many respects. Yeah, but as well, it's that age-old thing that we believe that something has to be complicated if the few are doing it.
Yeah,
but that's not true. Where did that? Who brought that myth in?
Yeah.
But we sell ourselves that story, and then we act upon that story. We almost sell it back to our subconscious to go, yeah, there you go. There's the evidence.
Yeah.
But when we really play with it and we loosen it up a little bit, what you can often do is you can often find a space where it's almost so simple it's laughable.
Yeah.
And that's where then the other part of your brain kicks in and goes, can't be this simple, please don't. No, I haven't been that stupid for 16 years, have I? It's that in that wrestle.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
Corporate will find it as you're speaking at after dinners and corporate events and things like that. How do they find that concept?
I avoid after dinner for a good reason. I'm not an after dinner speaker, but I have done a couple. If I do them, I come on before anybody's touched a drop of alcohol because I'm not there to entertain in that sense. But I have done a couple of those. But essentially, I'm there to inspire. I wouldn't say I'm there to motivate. I believe it's people's. It's a personal thing to motivate yourself. I don't think it's anybody else's job to motivate you. Even though people talk to me and say, "Oh, you're a motivational speaker," I always go, "No, I'm an inspirational speaker. I'm here to share a story." What you take from that is value. Hopefully, if I do my job properly, and hopefully I'll get the chance to show you what a human being can do in a sport. It's just one story that I'm here to inspire. You take what you want from it. But do you know what? I've had mixed feelings and thoughts from it, and people have been really vocal about it. You see people in the room who are going through the motions. you see others in the room who realise that's their epiphany. I had one lady when I first started, and I did my first corporate gig, probably back in 2010. She came up at the end, and she'd been crying at the back of the room. She turned up late, so she didn't get the start of it.
Yeah.
And she'd been crying. She'd come over at the end. Everybody had gone. I was packing up, and she said, "That's it. I'm going to tell me boss to stick his job." I'm like, whoa, no, don't do that. She went, "But that's what you've just been talking about for nearly an hour, haven't you?" I'm like, "No, I'm talking about following your dreams." And she went, "Yes, I'm going to tell him to stick his job." Yeah. And she went off and she created our own company, our own HR company. She kept in touch actually for a good couple of years, and things just took off from her. And she sent me an email about 3 years later saying, "I can't believe how much of a different life I had and a different mindset." And then she went on a journey because she sat there with 100 people in the room and she heard it being said to her. That was her time. And then there's the other side, which is almost the strategic side of the businesses that go, "We need to do this because there's wastage happening around here."
Yeah.
And when they do, and when you get somebody you get a group of people who are passionate about it, there is some serious change starts to happen in the organization. And I've seen it plenty of times. I've teamed up with my former sports psychologist, Simon Hartley, as well. We've done a couple of businesses together. I've done a couple by myself. And when they take it on and they grab the concept themselves and ask, what is our two lengths?
Yeah.
The changes have just been astronomical. Like, I remember one law firm in particular, when we first started, they whittled down a lot of the wastage in the business. And people were almost frightened because they felt like they were twiddling their thumbs a little bit.
Yeah.
And they were like, "I'm going to say we need to be doing," and we're like, no, we don't need to be doing anything. We need to be refine what we were doing. But we don't need to do anything else because then we're going to go back down the route of more things adding to a list that's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I think we have this desire, don't we, for having to put more on the list.
Become busy, become busier and busier. Yeah, and becoming busy becoming busy seems like it's an effective tool, but it's not. It's not at all. And I struggle with that. I wrestle with that. If I'm not busy, I'm not moving forward. That's not true. Actually, some of the most forward moving days are the days when I'm just really decisive. I nail 2 hours of work and it's in line and things take off. And yet I could be there for days on end trying to get through a list of things and nothing happens.
Yeah. And working with yourself again there is a great one, isn't it? In that, if you're not able to do it, if you feel like you're treading water, if you feel like you're wading through treacle, then stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say there's a big difference between hard work and resisted work. If it feels like you're just dragging, crawling through things, you're procrastinating, there's something that needs to be addressed right at the core.
Yeah.
If it's just hard work and you end the day and you go, "Blimey heck, I'm shattered, but tomorrow I'm going to nail these 3 things," or whatever it is, "I'm going to pick this up," then that's different. That's different. You've got to learn to read the signs. And I think that's what the beautiful thing about going on any journey is about. It's just about learning about yourself, but also about what the journey has to offer you as well.
Yeah. So you were also now mentoring business owners.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've been doing this for quite a while, almost unofficially as well. I've just kind of
kept that a secret. If you've been,
I have actually.
Let's get bloody secret.
Thanks. I've been doing it for years, but haven't really made it a big feature in my business until recently, until the turn of the year, really, when I realized that that's where I got a kick out of it. It wasn't just about standing on stage. It was about working with people who had that same mentality or were curious to scratch the surface of what I'd said.
Yeah.
And I'd help them with that curiosity. Sometimes it was just over the phone, a quick hour chat, and I'd send them on their way, and they'd call me up a couple of months later and go, "Oh my God, that phone call sent me off in this direction, and look what I've done." I'm like, there's something in this here.
Yeah.
So the bell went off. So now I've officially started to become a mentor and a coach. However people want to see it, it essentially is helping people get from where they are to where they want to be, cut out all the nonsense, get really focused and in a straight line, and just help them do it in a way that makes them feel empowered, that they're doing it themselves, not that they need to lean on a coach or a mentor, that actually in their journey, the thing that they're really building is the confidence to be themselves even more. That's what I really essentially come into coaching and mentoring for, because, and I'll tell you a quick story of why I feel so passionate about it. A few years ago when I was swimming, I had this big decision to make. Now, I'd work with my sports psychologist, Simon, every week, every 2 weeks, depending on when we could slot in a session. There was this big decision that I knew the answer to, but I was trying to get a hold of him, and I had to make the decision before 1:30 because I had to catch a flight, to go to this competition. I didn't want to go because I knew it wasn't right for me. And I was calling him. I couldn't get a hold of him. And I decided not to get on the flight and stayed home. Best decision I made. But I agonized over it. And at 1:30 on the dot, Simon called me up and went, I've got 16 missed calls from you. What's the problem? I went, don't worry, I coach myself.
Yeah.
And we had a really quick conversation. He went, brilliant. That's what I was here for. I wasn't here to answer your question for you. And that's what I hope for all of my clients, is that they value the works internally, that they're reflecting inwards, that they go, actually, the one who's making all the things work is myself. It's not my coach. It's not my mentor. It's me. All they're doing is just holding me accountable, shining a torch in a dark space, giving me a little bit of honesty, because honesty for me in a coaching setting is love.
Yeah.
It's loving people enough.
What's really interesting is, I think, we both have that opinion that we can't allow people to become reliant on us.
Definitely.
That it's disempowering. If somebody just relies on you to make that, you might as well run that business.
Yeah.
If I said to you, right, I'm totally reliant upon what you tell me to do, you might as well run my business. There's no point in me, is there? I think that's a biggie. And equally, having that ability to, we're very driven people.
Yeah. And
we're both Taurus. So we're also very stubborn, driven people.
Which serves its purpose.
Which does serve its purpose, but also means that at times, we can't see what other people can see. And I think this happens to everyone. I don't think it's, exclusive to being that highly driven, highly passionate person.
Yeah.
And, what was really interesting was I was listening to a podcast recently that talked about the fact that highly driven, passionate people cannot achieve balance.
Wow.
And it isn't a possibility for you. What you can achieve is a sliding scale of where your attention goes.
Yeah.
You will never achieve balance or stop trying.
I can resonate with that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, totally. I can totally resonate with that, in that, different areas of my life ebb and flow in terms of how much time, effort, energy and attention they get. But we'll never achieve, for example, a full 50% here, 50% there.
I'd agree. I think it fits in lovely with a philosophy I believe in. There's no such thing as multitasking.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you give something in front of you 100% of your attention, and then granted, you might flit across and give something else your attention, but actually you've switched your focus.
Yeah.
And I believe the big part of that is just about organizing your priorities. And the better you become at organizing your priorities in any moment in time will ultimately lead to you multitasking better, what people call multitasking better, which is just placing your focus on something at any given time.
Yeah. And I think that blind spot management is really interesting. So what's your philosophy as you work with business owners? What is it what's your two lengths in your mentoring and coaching work?
Oh, that's a good one. Do you know what? That's still being explored for me, which is really nice, because I'm definitely getting closer and closer. There's a few bits and pieces that I'm playing around with and working with at the moment. And I feel as though it's fitting with sport, because I'm working with some elite sports people as well, which is great. It's fitting with business owners. It's definitely fitting with people who are looking for that step up in management. They've seen what they want. They know it's a 2-year gap between the next person retiring and they're after that spot. and they're almost trying to morph into that spot. And that's the bit where I go, hang on a second, no. Let's be you. Let's learn you. So I'm learning in coaching and mentoring that this is about helping people become themselves, and then the success is attracted off the back of that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm often finding though is a lot of people don't even know where the heck to start on that. And it's just about unpacking that and not necessarily going back in time. I don't really like doing that too much, but I do like to use past experience as an opportunity to just open out for future successes. So you just learning a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to talk about my philosophy, it would be about being authentic self. That would be what at the core of my coaching, helping people be themselves, helping them to build that confidence that they are enough, but they still have that opportunity to grow their skills as well. Because I think that's one of the big problems, Emma, I don't know about you, is you see all these messages out there of, it generally come from like passive income, make money in your sleep, all that sort of stuff. And it's, you are enough. And I really feel there's a bit of an imbalance of people feel they're enough, but aren't actually focusing on the things that they're missing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they go out and challenge something, which is up here, but they don't question what characteristics need to meet that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important that in coaching and mentoring that we help our clients focus on, well, what characteristics do you need to fulfill that challenge? Because essentially that's our next step. That's who we're morphing into.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to answer you short there, I haven't really nailed down in one simple sentence what my 2 lines is. And I'm not frightened to say it. It's fairly early days and I'm enjoying it. And every client is teaching me a little bit more. But that's how I've learned to build swim buddies. That's how I learned to build my swimming career. Mm-hmm. And it comes back to what I said earlier, not being frightened to start again and being honest about it.
Yeah, and there's no education, there's no book that you can read, there's no podcast that you can listen to that will teach you like experience will teach you.
I'd agree. I coached someone ages ago, and he won't mind me telling you this because he laughs about it tongue in cheek, and he said, you can share my story. He was the most well-read guy I have ever known in my life. Any book I said he needs to pick up, he had it behind him in his shelf.
Yeah.
Got it.
From that.
And there was one day I just went, right, no more coaching calls, pick a book. And he went, what? Pick a book, any book. He picked a book. I went, right, read that, do everything in it, and don't call me back until you do it. Because he didn't have an information problem. He had an implementation problem. He had the info.
So many people have got that.
That's it. And I feel like I'm in that trap sometimes. That I've got this info, just do it. And it's my wife often who goes, well, you know it. You coach people about this all the time. Why are you not doing it yourself?
Yeah.
We've got to practice what we preach. But it's one of those things that often, like you said before, your blind spots can often be some of the trickiest parts, but the most exhilarating and eye-opening if you're prepared and courageous enough to just shine a torch on them. Just look. Just look. That's it.
Yeah. So what does the future hold?
Oh, do you know, we were talking about this the other day, me and my wife. We've readjusted our, we've always got a 5-year plan. We've always got a 5-year plan.
Which involved 2 holidays in 2020. So.
Yeah, that plan didn't go very well. Start the plan again. But yeah, one of them is to just holiday more with the kids. The kids are getting to an age now where my little girl's she's a couple of years away from secondary school. That's a new chapter that we're looking forward to. So we're very, very family orientated. We've got our eye on where we want swim buddies to be. That's a stone's throw away. We know what we want to be now. And then we're going to go back over and almost keep painting the bridge, what we call it. Keep refining it, keep painting the bridge. We've got that solid foundation in place. I'm really looking forward to getting my online courses on the go. They're in production at the moment. I'm doing them daily. I got up 3:30 this morning to start my courses to do.
Oh, legend.
But you know what? I woke up this morning and I was just like, let's do it. I was a bit jaded, but I was like, let's do it. And I've been up for hours now. It's midday. And I don't feel like I was up at 3. And that's when you're on the right course.
Yeah.
I want to get me speaking back up and running. I've been doing that via Zoom. I've been doing quite well, actually. It's been doing really well. But I want to get into a room of people and speak.
Won't it be so nice to get in front of people and see their faces again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it'll be quite an emotional thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the future for what I call Chris Cook Limited, my business, and Swim Buddies is really, really bright. I'm excited for the next chapter, even though there's a few hurdles of COVID to get over.
Yeah.
I'm weirdly excited about it. There's a bit of a come on, try me, you know, not why me about us. You know, I don't like to whinge and moan. I like the come on, try me. You're only a virus. I'll take you on. Why not? So yeah, and like I said, the family side of things, I'm just excited to watch my family grow. And the kids are weird. Kids are strange because they're coming to a stage now where they're like, what do you do, Daddy? Like, what is it you do? And they're becoming curious.
Yeah.
And they don't really have much of an insight into what I used to do.
Yeah.
They know from the friends, because the friends will go, oh, your daddy talked to my daddy, and my daddy said your daddy went to the Olympics, and my little girl's like, yeah, whatever. She's not bothered, which is beautiful. I love it. Yeah. But they are starting to scratch the surface now, and I think they're a bit like, oh, there's something different about our mummies and daddies. Like, what's the deal? I love that. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I think every opportunity we get to grow and build and develop just unpeels another layer of the onion, which is just wonderful.
So your wife was a swimmer as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, really good one, actually. She always says to me, I was great when you weren't so great. She was a fantastic junior international swimmer and very nearly made it at the senior level.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
Do you reckon one of the kids has got that gene?
Well, yeah, my little girl, Charlie, she's fantastic in the water. She doesn't have much of a kind of like desire to want to do it. So we're just leaving her to it. But she seems more into like fashion and making clothes. Like she'll take Erica's clothes and she'll take her old clothes, get a sewing machine out, make something, come downstairs, and I'm like, who bought her that? She's like, no, I made it. She's really, really creative, which is so far away from me. Like I'm not creative.
Puts them up and goes, ta-da! Cheers!
Brilliant. But yeah, we are so laid back about what we want our kids to do with their lives. It's entirely up to them. There's a couple of stipulations. I want them to do something positive that changes the world a little bit.
Yeah, it needs to be legal.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, stick to that one. First rule. Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, you know, I'd just love to see them fulfill their goals and dreams. We try and kind of expose them to as much as we possibly can, you know, and show them. But the message is always the same, you know, follow people who want to be in the room.
Yeah.
There's an energy about that. There's something different when you get around people who want to be in the room. Even if they're doing what seems like a mundane task, if it means something to them, there's magic happening.
Absolutely.
That's what I want for me kids.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, in terms of the gorgeous people listening here, if you were going to give them one takeaway from our chat today, what would it be? All right, you can have 3 if you think you need 3, but you know.
I would say do what you love, because you'll love what you do. That was always said to me years ago. Do what you absolutely love, and you'll love what you do.
Yeah.
I would say stop putting off that thing that you know you're putting off, because we're all doing it.
Yeah.
And let yourself off the hook.
Yeah, and if you're not careful, if not doing that thing that you're putting off doing, a year 3 will call you out on it.
You'll get coached within an inch of your life in front of You'll get schooled at school. Yeah, never do it. Yeah.
Well, where can people find out more about you, Chris? Where can they connect with you and get involved with your work?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, Chris Cook GB. I've just joined Instagram, Chris Cook 2. Can't believe there's a Chris Cook 1. How rude.
How rude.
How rude. So I've just joined Instagram, bit of a late to the party. And my website, chriscookgb.com, and my email is info@chriscookgb.com. But yeah, I'm contactable, Facebook and all of that.
Cool. I will make sure that all of the links are popped with today's podcast. Thank you ever so much for being part of today's podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure to chat to you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much for the chance, and I've really loved connecting with you, especially over COVID. It's been wonderful. It's definitely been a gift.
It's been so much fun, hasn't it? It's been so,
Yeah.
and it's so nice to be able to speak to somebody who's on the same page, but that also can open your eyes to other elements of that page.
Likewise.
So perhaps just reads that sentence slightly differently to you do. Same book, same chapter, different interpretation of the same sentence.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you ever so much. And we will be jumping into the next section in just a second. So I hope that you enjoyed that podcast interview. As I said at the very beginning, if you do love what we do here, then please do make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell, and like the video, share the video out there, share the love, and let us know in the comments your epiphanies and ahas. Until the next time, bye-bye.